Now, now is the time that you need to get on top of your processes. Which ones? Well, it's really the processes you're still learning, and more importantly, the processes that you do not run on a monthly basis. This is where you need to be on your A game. My name is Chatto, and I've been a landlord for over 25 years, and I wanted to help you get your mindset right on where you need to be when handling these processes. So, without further ado, let's have a quick chat with Chatto about attention to detail. That's right, attention to detail is the one thing that is going to make or break your cash flow for the year, especially as you're going through these one-off processes. So, story time. Right, we're going through a turnover right now, and that was actually the inspiration for this video. We have a turnover, and it's January. Today's the 30th, Friday. Tomorrow is the 31st. The tenants are moving out on the 31st, so this move out is happening on a weekend. That's one thing. Number two, this move out is also happening during one of the coldest times we've had in a long time. It has been below freezing day after day after day. So those are two things that are special. Plus, hopefully you don't have too many turnovers. The more turnovers you have, the less cash flow you have. So hopefully it's not something you need to do on a regular monthly basis, right? So you're not doing them as often. So this is where we need to really pay attention to detail and make sure that these things go off without a hitch, especially when it's not something that's a normal process. So even if you think about a tenant who's moving, when a tenant moves, that's not something they necessarily do on a regular basis. If you have a tenant that moves a lot, they might be used to moving every year, but most people only move a couple times, handful of times in their lifetime. I do realize some people move around a lot, but a lot of tenants are not used to moving out of a property. So it's up to us to be proactive, and in our quest for attention to detail, really make sure that they have everything that they need. Make sure that they remind them, like, hey, make sure the doors are locked. That seems pretty obvious. You leave, lock the door. Cool. But what about the windows? How many tenants open and close windows? Maybe not as much in the winter, but have windows that they've closed and never locked. Like, lock the windows, secure the property, because you're not going to be there. So lock the doors, lock the windows. That helps protect the property. And where are you going to put the key? Like, hey, this is where we want you to leave the key. This is where we want you to hide it. Can you bring it to the office and put it through the door, right? Because again, this is happening on a weekend. Another big thing, tenants move out. They want to leave the property empty for you. There's a lot of crap that they don't want to take with them. And I found it multiple times that they put trash outside in front of the building. They put it out and think the garbage men are just going to take it. Well, they don't take, at least in our area, they don't take mattresses. They don't take big pieces of furniture unless you call them or arrange something, and that kind of thing. So I've had multiple instances where a tenant will leave a bunch of junk outside in front of the property, and now it costs me money because I get a ticket from the local government. They drive by, they see all the crap outside, they send you a summons, you go to court, blah, blah, blah. Big pain in the rear. So it's better to prevent that. So those are like just some things. And now, like I said, it is freezing. In the summer, it's not much of a big deal, but right now it is freezing. And I made a video previously about frozen pipes. And guess what? You may need to remind them, like, hey, leave the heat on. They might think, oh, I'm leaving. Why am I going to leave the heat on? Make sure that they leave the heat on. The other big thing that we need to do, especially in the winter, is make sure that they are not shutting the heat off. I mean, not the heat, the electricity off or the gas, right? Make sure that they're leaving the utilities on, because that's the last thing you need to do is show up on Monday and find out that the utilities are off. And now you're going to turn them back on. In the meantime, you have no heat. In the meantime, the pipes freeze, right? So, and you have to reassure them. Say, hey, you're moving out this weekend. We're going to call the PSE&G or the utility company first thing Monday morning. We'll let you know that the utilities have been taken out of your name. We'll make it effective February 1st, et cetera, et cetera. But you want to make sure that you don't run into a situation where that utility gets shut off. The utilities are not going to get shut off if they don't call. But if they do call and say, hey, we're moving out, please shut the utilities off on Saturday, you're going to be in a bad position. So you just want to make sure you coordinate that with the tenant. Again, it's attention to detail. It's being proactive. It's another great word for it, proactive, right? But that being said, so also, right, this turnover, we talked about the importance of a quick turnover. And we need to get a CO, a certificate of occupancy, for this property before a new tenant moves in. So now, if we waited until the tenant moves out and started that process the following Monday, we would be behind the eight ball a lot. So we're in New Jersey, and there's lead rules, and there's lead inspections that you need to get. So we got our lead inspection done because we knew that we would need a new lead inspection. It's only good for X amount of time, and then you need to get a fresh one. We knew we needed another one in order to even get a CO, in order for them to even schedule the CO inspection. So we already got that done. The other thing is we need to actually schedule the CO inspection. If we wait until the last minute, we could go and they'll say, oh, we have an inspection in a week and a half. Well, that doesn't work. I need to get it inspected now because I have tenants I need to move in. So we need to proactively get out there and get our CO inspection. So that's another thing, right? And, right, we need to do the turnover. There's going to be something that needs to get done to the property, probably some paint touch up, probably a few repairs that need to get made, right? Is the contractor ready to go? I can't call up the contractor Monday morning and say, hey, can you come over and do this turnover? Like, we need to give them a heads up. We need to prepare them. Again, attention to detail. And another big one that sometimes gets missed is, okay, that tenant's moving out. You're not going to give the new tenant the same key. That would be weird, right? You don't want the old tenant who may have a key to still have keys to a property after they move out, right? So that being said, like, do you have your new lock set ready to go? Like I spoke about earlier, we have a master system, and it takes the locksmith a little bit of time to prepare a new lock set. So if I don't have a lock set ready to go and proactive around that, then it's going to take him a week. So now that's a week before I can move in another tenant, or I'd say, hey, you know, I got to go buy another lock set, change the locks, and then change it to our master set. It's a big pain. So just like with all this, like, so the point is, especially on systems that are not run every month, like stuff that happens every single month with late fees and rent collection, like that becomes a system. It becomes second nature. But when you're doing these one-off systems, these things that happen occasionally, right? The occasional turnover, anything like that, you really need to stop for a second and pay attention to detail. Make sure you're proactive. Make sure you're not missing anything, or that your team's not missing anything, because otherwise it could cost you time, which would be money, or it can cost you money itself. So it's like, just be on top of these things, pay attention to detail, and it's going to go a long way to protecting your cash flow. With that being said, hopefully this video was of value to you. I appreciate your time. Like and subscribe, because like the algorithm and whatnot. And let's have a conversation below. Is there any other places where your attention to detail saved the day? So that being said, appreciate you guys watching another episode of Chat with Chatto.